Modern Patreon subscribers, we'll start at the pound USD because the pound is currently strongest on the currency strength index. So come to the nataf.net. The pound really had some good data yesterday and the retail guys really shorted it. And you see it's coming down a little bit. The dollar is coming up. So potentially we're going to get a GU sell signal, but only if they cross. Okay, so that's the reason why we're starting at the pound USD. Is because currently the pound is strongest. Remember, it's the pound basket versus the dollar basket. So it's definitely a good website. It's quite useful. We haven't got the crossover yet. Perhaps we might not. And this could be the bottom. So we have taken out a stop loss cluster. When I loaded MetaTrader 4, we were sitting at the SLC, which we had probed. So from a liquidity perspective, we took some stops. So perhaps it could be a bottom. So the SLC, the new one is at 120.54, and the new one, or the old one, the one above, 121.50. Monthly pivots there. So remember, you know, that's kind of, we're still technically quite bearish. We want to be above monthly pivot. So potentially target the SLC above, ATR long, and you've got your ATR shorts down there. So it's kind of difficult to say. We are a buy here. We have taken out stops. Technically, we've got monthly pivot. Yeah, it's really difficult to say. We might come up to the one above, which is 80 pips away. But the only trouble is we are slightly risk off. And we have to remember that because the pound's going to suffer in a risk off mood. We can see indices, the futures, we're probably going to be quite negative. Not too bad. Just going a bit green. So perhaps this is going to be quite nice for pound USD in order to get the SLC above, because we've taken the one below. So if we carry on, risk on, it might be okay. This could be a bottom, and then we come up to the SLC above. Let's look at AU. The Australian dollar basket, the bubble is strong sell, so this probably is going to be falling. Yeah, so you know, we only have to look at the bubble on our spreadsheet. Come to the average bubbles. Aussie is over here, so they're long Aussie, but they're adding long, so therefore it's a sell. And you see the bubble size is small, so that's good. It tells us that they're getting punished. They're short the pound, and the bubble's large, so it's telling us price performance is doing okay, so they're getting punished. They're getting punished. Slightly mixed. That could be smaller as well. Okay, so Aussie is weak, so we should probably be seeing, we should see this fall, which we have done. And the one below is at 68, I think we can say, yeah. And the one above is large at 69.20, and we're coming close to the ATR short, so perhaps we might get that. Then we can test weekly open. This will obviously move with the risk appetite as well. If we go risk on, this will do quite well. The dollar should weaken a little bit because the yields will come down as well. The dollar tracks the yields, and that's why it's a safe haven. So possibly might grab that for a bounce, but if we go risk on, this might be okay, and we can probably overlook the sentiment. See how they've gone long, which we can see here. They've gone long Aussie, and which we can see on the ratios they went long. So that's why price fell. EU, that's sideways. It's a sideways, isn't it? One above is at 107.05, one below 106.30. Currently a sell, but we're just sideways. Perhaps above weekly open, you can target that. It's only 22 pip. And yeah, perhaps that could be a trade, couldn't it? Just get 22 pips, 20 odd pips. They might move their stops higher. If they do, then that'd be good. That'd be nice. And likewise, this is going to be tracking risk appetite as well, because it's a dollar pair. So there's your stops anyway. Above weekly open, target SLC. I think that's probably going to be like the trade to do, although the risk to reward is going to be fairly okay. It's not going to be great. It's going to be like a 1-to-1R. Got a 20 pip stop, 20 pip TP, something like that. Ideally, they move their stops higher. So that's if they do, then that'll be better. And then obviously ideally we want above monthly pivot, and then we target HR long. Okay, and look at dollar Swiss and dollar yen, and then we'll finish up with gold. Dollar Swiss has got its monthly pivot. We've got to remember. Okay, so that's quite strong technically. They are selling it slightly. One above is at 93. And one below is miles away at 90.50, and we won't get that stop loss cluster because we'd have really exceeded the HR target short on the weekly. Maybe next week, but this week it won't happen because that's where your target is on a weekly basis. We can exceed it, but that's like 2 standard deviations below. It's almost twice the distance. So it's too far. So I don't think we're going to get the stop loss cluster below. Might target HR target short. I don't think we're going to get that. It's just too far. So obviously this is going to be a big mover later. And we are a sell at the big picture, but they are selling it ever so slightly over time. Dollar yen. And yeah, the one above, it's 135.21. You know why? Because it's just above the highs. Obviously they want their stops fairly tight. But you understand why they've got their stops there. It's just above, that peak. One below is at 133.65. There's your HR target long from the weekly open. And there's your HR target short from the weekly open. There's near-term target, medium-term. And then maybe we can look at New Zealand dollar because of the location of the bubble. And we can wrap up with gold. So this might be okay. There's a Kiwi there, the dollar's there. Ideally we want the USD over here because you want like a distance between the bubbles ideally. So the weekly open, potential scenario, 30 pip move to the SLC, which is at 62.60, and the one below is at 61.85. So you could place an order 62.34 to target the SLC 62.60. It's a 30 pip move. It isn't a great move. Don't forget your monthly support is there at 62.43. So that's going to be fairly decent for the Kiwi. If we get monthly support, then we'll have weekly open. Then we'll probably target HR target long before the end of the week. So that could be a trade a long above monthly support 1 to target HR target. Okay, so we'd look at gold quickly and then we'll wrap up. Big interchange, very much chop on the profitable traders. Very much a lot of indecision there. You can see the price action is erratic as hell. We are still at the big picture. We had some buy-in come in, the big boys with their big pockets. So really that could hold, and it looks like it is. We might get an interchange. We are a sell at the big picture, 59%, 61%, so a bit of a discrepancy there, but we're above 50%, so it's a sell at the static level. However, we've got institutional buying volume down there. One above is at 1846, 1830. I was saying we want to avoid this chop, so perhaps a long 1841 to target SLC, and you can see how we kind of want to be avoiding this sideways stuff. Look for a breakout to SLC. You could look for a breakout to SLC, but that's quite close. So perhaps it might just want to get those stops first. But you can see why the stop is there. It's just below that low. So perhaps that's what's going to happen. Don't forget we are a sell at the big picture, and it might just want liquidity before FOMC, and then we can have a nice bounce. And it coincides with that box. Kinda. So if we do break that and get that SLC, this probably can hold still. Below 1822, it gets quite heavy because on the H4 pitchfork, your support is 1825. So if we go to 1822, then we're going to get to 1805 basically. So 1825 area needs to hold, and then we'll come down to 1805, which is your 61.8 support. So we're still within an ascending channel. So we might just want to get the stop loss cluster below first for a bounce. but I think inevitably we probably are going to break this channel. But we'll have to wait and see, and it all depends what they say at the FOMC. And so trade safely. You've got your targets, you've got your stop losses based on the weekly open, and you know where to put your stops. So if you have a weekly open as your entry, and you can wait for the monthly support, then that could be your stop, right? So what's that? That's a 10 pip stop, which is fairly affordable. You could even have like a larger size than normal, because a 10 pip stop is nothing. So a monthly support, one break to target HR long, that's a really, really good trade. That's like a 7.5 trade if we manage to pull it off. But as long as you know where your stop is and you can use a weekly open for that, you can be a little bit below. Enter there, target that, or target this, but ideally you want to be targeting higher and your stop is there. So that's why you want to be using your weekly open, and then that's how you can use it. Right, so I'm off now, and I'm going to be doing more house hunting, which is a little bit stressful, but that's one of those things, and hopefully I find a house which in a couple of weeks. So it's a big move. It's a big thing for me. So remember to trade safely. We've got a long day. We've got FOMC later in 9 hours time. So just remember to take breaks and you should be fine. Remember what I was saying about your stop losses as well. It's really important to know where your exit is. If you get stopped out, you can always just come back, give it a bit of time, then re-enter. And you've got your targets and you've got stop losses, haven't you? Just using that setup. Remember to get the SLC indicators from FX SSI. It's a really good website. I'll show you that later, but you know about FX SSI anyway. I'll stop waffling now and I'll speak to you guys soon.